Thanks for coming to hang out with us today. Ruck Up Buttercup is a podcast hosted by Deployed Love. We chat about real things that military families deal with and help you to love the call to action. So you know the drill. Ruck Up Buttercup. Ruck Up Buttercup podcast can be found on all your favorite streaming locations. As well, we are now available on Reese Across America Radio on Fridays at 11 p.m. and Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can find Reese Across America Radio on the iHeartRadio app, the Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app. Just search the word Reese. Can't wait to see you there.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ruck Up Buttercup. Today we have a special guest, personally one of my favorite people that I've met at Fort Liberty. She loves to kick my butt, and I love her for it. Today, our special guest is Grace Becks. Welcome to the show, Grace.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Because you are a busy mama, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know how you do all the things. So
yeah, of course. Well, as Ashley already introed me, I'm Grace Becks. Ashley and I met through personal training. She was one of my clients. And so I own Gracefully Fit LLC. I've owned it for 7 years now, actually as old as my oldest daughter. So I'm a mama of 3. I have an almost 7-year-old, almost 2-year-old, and a 6-month-old. Life is crazy with that, just regular mom life, and then sprinkle in the military. And as you guys know, it is even more insane. And then running a business on top of that. So I'm also a fellow Army military wife. My husband's been in for just hit his 10 years. So we're halfway done, halfway to getting my life back.
That's how I
yeah, I've been a personal.
Like I just picture like I only have like 5 more years until maybe things go back to being normal. And I say normal. Like it never was normal for us at all.
Yeah. I also count it by how many like moves we potentially have left, because that's how many times I have to move my business to, and that is just a pain in my butt.
And you just went through like a huge move. You were stationed overseas, so not only did you have to like just move your business, but you were moving like completely different continents and you know, business practices and things like that. And so I remember watching all of that for you, because I think I actually started following you before you moved to Liberty, and you were just kind of like just talking about like getting all the new stuff for your business and things like that. And I think like a lot of military spouses have to kind of make that adjustment every few years, and it's hard to stay like consistent through those time periods. Like we've kind of chatted about that before on the podcast, and I know that's one of your big like things with all your clients is like how to stay consistent when we have such a crazy lifestyle that just consistently changes. Things throw curveballs at us all the time. I know I'm one of the worst people. I think I talk about this all the time, that it's so hard for me to just stay consistent, to stay on top of things for myself, because I'm, you know, the primary parent. I have 2 small kids who are all of the activities. I help run not only one business, but 2 businesses. So we're all familiar with that change. So what are some, like, how do you talk to your clients about how to stay consistent and how to make sure they take care of themselves during those big moments, even the small moments? But I feel like big moments really throw in a wrench into your day.
I know the biggest moments for a lot of us military wives, especially us moms, is when you're going through that like postpartum and that transition to motherhood, as well as motherhood in the military lifestyle, and like your husband being gone. He doesn't have, like, you don't have that help. Your partner's just not there. And that, I think, is such a hard thing, whether it's that or you're like going back to work or whatever big life change it is. I think the biggest thing that people get like caught up on is looking at the big picture of like, I have to work out 5 days a week. I have to like get all this stuff done. And they get overwhelmed with that, or they're looking down the road of like, I need to lose 50 pounds or however many, whatever, this is my goal. And they're looking at it as like this huge thing that's just hard to tackle. And I tell my clients, like, take it day by day. My saying is 1 day at a time, 1 meal at a time. change doesn't happen overnight. It's all the small things that you do that adds up. So change one thing today that you didn't do tomorrow. So, if your husband was gone suddenly, they get called in out of nowhere or whatever it may be. He gets called into work. You planned on working out the day before. Okay, that's fine. Next day, just do that workout or do something active, whatever it may be. Do one thing that you didn't do yesterday. You didn't get to eat clean. You were busy. You didn't go for that walk, whatever it is. Just do the one thing that you didn't get to do yesterday that will change your tomorrow. So stop looking at that stresses you out, that's overwhelming. And it's really hard for people to stay consistent when they're just like constantly feeling like they take one step forward and two steps back.
Yeah.
Because our life is forever changing. It's never stable. It never will be stable.
And I think
yeah.
That mentality of like all or nothing. And I fall into that all the time where I'm like, no, I have to have everything set up. We have to have the gym ready. We have to have the food. It has to be lined up for the week. Like, and then I don't do it because if one of those little things drops off, I'm like, I'll just start over next week.
Yeah.
All or nothing mentality was terrible.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've done forever. And that's one of the things I've learned from Grace is like, take your small victories. And so like, even though that I may not have gotten to work out today, I was like, oh, I hit my water goal, or I hit my nutrition goal for the day. Like I ate the amount of protein I wanted to eat, or I might have done my exercise, but I didn't hit my water goal. So I try to celebrate the small, like the wins, even if I didn't do everything in the day. And I think that was kind of like one of the things that you like changed in my mindset was it's one day at a time, and like every victory counts, like whether you met all of them or not. And because I was all into like Grace. So Grace does these really fun like challenges throughout the year. And I was doing the challenge and I was all in it and I was all ready to go. And then all of the things happen. Like if you listen to our last couple of podcasts, like, that like it was like almost like Murphy decided he was just going to show his face. Even though Jeremy's not gone, he was just like, hey, I'm usually here this time of year. I'm going to show my face. And it was sick dogs, sick kids, potentially having to move again. And it was just like one thing after another. And I was like, no. Like I didn't have the time or the energy to work out, but I was like, I'm still going to eat. I'm still going to drink my water. And I think that's so important to remember is you have to have
and it's all those little things that add up to make the big things. It's my saying for this year and my motto for this year, as I'm on my last postpartum journey, finally, I get my body back for good. My motto is like brick by brick. So one brick at a time, day by day, whatever that looks like. I'm, juggling being a mom of 3 and my husband's constantly gone at the moment and I'm working and whatnot. So just day by day, making the choices that will make my tomorrow better, regardless of what that is.
Yep.
For my following on social media knows I have PCOS and endometriosis, which are both inflammatory response type diseases. And so to change my mindset of like, I have to give my body rest. I have to give my body time. And that was such a huge shift in my mindset over the years, because I used to be so like, all right, 7 days a week, 5 days a week, like I have to hit it hard every single day. I would beat myself up if I, skipped a workout or whatever. And now that I've allowed myself to not only change my mindset and take it day by day and brick by brick, I've seen such a body and my overall wellness, just like giving myself that grace and giving myself that rest when it's needed. The other thing that I tell my clients all the time is adjust your sails to the tides of life, because so often like we just life in general, and then you sprinkle in the military and the things that they do to our families and our life and all the changes that we go through. And you truly just are constantly weathering one storm after another, trying to get to, that sunny patch for a little bit. And so just continue to adjust your sails, like taking 5, months down the road or however long down the road, just look at tomorrow, look at today and what you can do to make tomorrow better.
I think we've talked about it before, but like physical health is so much like impacted by your mental health too. Like Absolutely. If you can't like lower your cortisol, figure out ways to find peace also throughout the day, then you're never like working out is never really going to click into place, because you're just I know me personally, on days where I'm super stressed out, if I don't find a way to calm down before I even think about working out, there's like no chance that I'm going to get anything out of it. I could push through it, but I'm going to just feel like I wasted the entire hour because I'm just like not there mentally.
You're going to be so inflamed from it because, like you said, that cortisol, that stress response is just inflaming your body even more. So the more you spike that, then the more it's counterintuitive.
And I feel like all of us military spouses, I'm sure all of our cortisol levels at least some parts of the year
unnaturally high.
They're always
I know like right now we're sitting here we're waiting on what our next orders are going to look like. It could potentially be by the end of the year moving again. So it's like this whole like 6 months now is going to be like, well, where are we going? What are we doing? What does that look like in 6 months? And so my focus, I think, throughout the summer is going to be more on like yoga and meditation, because as much as I want to lose weight, I need to find my mindset before I can even focus on any of that.
Ashley knows that I'm a firm believer that if you can't connect your mind to your body, then your body's not going to follow suit. So you truly have to get your mind right before you can get your body right. And as someone who has had depression and whatnot, whether it be postpartum or just in general, my entire life, I know for sure my fitness is struggling when I'm at like my lowest, and I have to like reassess, recenter myself before I can actually like fully dedicate myself again. And so, like you said, Sabrina, you got to get your mind right, do what you need to do before everything else follows suit. So for you, while you're doing your yoga, meditating, and doing all those things to kind of recenter yourself and lower that cortisol level, then all of your weight loss later once you reconnect with that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I'm actually focusing on this week, is kind of recentering myself, like getting back into just the like idea of just moving, like, work from home, sitting down all the time, all that kind of stuff. And so the last 2 days, the weather has been so nice. I'm sure it's becoming prettier everywhere across the country, but it has just been so rainy and so gloomy here in Virginia. And I was like, I have to get out. I'm going to go and for a little walk. I went for a hike. So yesterday was more of a walk around the lake, but the day before was hike up the mountain. And it just put a pep in my step that I absolutely needed. I needed it after the 2 weeks of hell. Like, it wasn't really hell, but it felt like hell, guys. And I was just, it was so horrible. And then just, getting out in the sun just changed my mood from being like, I'm so stuck in being inside, to getting outside and then just fresh air. And it was just so nice. And so I like now have this like pep in my step. I'm like, what time can I go today? Even though I know I have a crazy schedule today, like, how can I get outside and move my body just to feel better? Like, just moving makes me feel a little bit better. And so having those different things to help you get back to yourself and motivate you, like, what are some of your like try and true tips that you give to everybody?
As you know from me, style is very much a no BS. So as Ashley knows, I don't sugarcoat anything for anyone. From the day we have a consultation to the time that maybe we finish training together, I'm just going to be honest with you. My biggest thing with that is motivation is BS. No one always has motivation. No one always has that drive. You just have to be dedicated to yourself, to your journey, to the process, no matter how or high water, again, continuously adjusting your sails to the tides of life, and thing today that you didn't do yesterday to change your tomorrow. And so because I get that asked, what Ashley asks all the time. It's like, what's motivation to you? Like, what's the most motivating thing for you? Is it, and for some people, it could be the scale, it could be the physical looks, it could be whatever. For my clients, I'm a big advocate for finding those non-scale things that motivate you, because so often as females and in this diet culture and everything else in this world, especially because of social media pushing these like filtered bodies, let's be honest. So often we get discouraged when we don't look like that. We don't, see that progress like the person on social media or whatever. And so I'm a big advocate of find that non-scale thing. Like summer's coming up. Pick out a bathing suit, pick out a dress, pick out a whatever that you want to fit into, feel confident in, you know, try to put it on now. If it doesn't fit now, that's okay. Hang it up somewhere in your house that you're going to see it every single day, pass by it every single day. And that's going to be your non-scale victory at some point. And because of also my history way back is I used to have an eating disorder. So with my clients, I don't push huge scale things. I want to see taping differences, especially if your goal is weight loss. I'm big on tapings because as someone also who has a chronic illness, I know how much our female bodies can retain water and inflammation and everything else. And so that is so frustrating not seeing the scale move. Your tapings can move inches, but the scale hasn't moved a bit. And so for motivation though, again, those non-scale victories, find that thing, make it, maybe you go a week of working out or whatever it may be that your goal is, and then reward yourself with something that's not food related. So go get your nails done, go see a movie with your husband, whatever it may be. Those little things as well continuously add up and build up your confidence to keep going. Because at the end of the day, if you continuously feel like you're failing, you're not going to want to do it. No one wants to continuously fail. So do little things, even if it's so small as I set my alarm for 5 a.m. I got up at 5 a.m. You didn't maybe work out, but at least you got up. Doing those type of things and slowly building on the smallest things gives you that confidence to do the bigger things, and you make it consistent. And, at the end of the day, that's what it needs to be, is it's consistency over time. So motivation wise, motivation comes and goes. You have to be consistent. You have to be dedicated to yourself, and you have to be driven. So non-scale victories, give yourself, pick out a little prize for whatever it's going to be that you're achieving, and then build on those little things again, brick by brick.
Yeah. And I think that's really important to remember, is that everybody's different. So what works for someone else isn't necessarily going to work for you. You have to find like what works for you. I found that having Grace kick my ass and tell me to not stop is what works for me. So I'm so sad that I'm not at Liberty right now, because I know that if I was there, I would be a little bit more strict and like on top of my stuff. I've learned that over time, that like doing it on my own is a lot harder than having someone to push me. But at the same time, I'm taking my small victories. I love how you just mentioned like treat yourself type of thing. So my goal is, we have a concert we're going to at the end of May. And I'm like, I want to fit in these pants that fit me, but I want to like just, maybe try to slim down my belly a little bit. So I'm really working on like nutrition this like right now, and then like getting out and walking and things like that. And so I think that having those goals that you're looking forward to, whether it's an event or it is a dress or a swimsuit, I'd love to get back in a two-piece. One day I will feel confident to be back in a two-piece swimsuit, but I'm not.
You can wear it now.
I mean, I can. I like having my stomach. I mean, I'm a mom of two. I feel like a lot of us moms have that, like, we're a little self-conscious about like our tummy area and stuff like that. And so one day, maybe this summer, maybe it's next summer, but my goal is to get back feel confident in a two-piece.
You got it.
I know.
You totally do. I wear a two-piece.
I know. I just feel like it's just weird.
German girls.
I also feel like this summer is also the summer where I feel like I don't have a little person climbing on me, which is also one of the reasons why I always wore like a one piece, because I just felt like two pieces. I just felt, I don't know. It's weird.
Always.
It's like something always happens. Like you are so prepared for things, and then something happens and you're just like, what am I supposed to do? So let's kind of talk about that a little bit. Let's go back.
Again, adjusting your sails.
Adjust it. So like I said a little bit ago, that like my weeks were just chaotic and crazy. Things were happening, training, all the things happen. What are some tips and tricks that you would tell your clients or someone you were talking to about like how to stay consistent during those like crazy times? Like Murphy Law's hitting the home, deployment happened, training cycle, and then you were just left with running and holding down the fort, like what are some ways that you can tell your clients, like it's a, like obviously like stay consistent, do your best, like we've already kind of talked about that, but what are some ways to help encourage listeners on how to stay consistent during those like major like bumps in the road?
Yeah. And I actually just last week also, my entire family got hit with the stomach virus.
Mm-hmm.
And so that completely like messed up. Yeah.
That
Messed
virus
up
is
my
no
schedule,
joke.
my work schedule. Like it was. So as far as that goes, you know, if it's deployment wise or husband gone, you know, just those random always hit us military wise where suddenly you're solo parenting. I always tell my moms, if you can't go make it to the gym, or my wives in general, if you can't go make it to the gym because life has happened and now you're at home with the kids or you're just stuck, find some form either with the kids or by yourself during nap time. So I know summer's approaching and all that. Get outside, go for a walk with the kids, include them if you have to. I know all about that life. I have worked out so many times with my kids, but finding, even if it's as little as 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. So often people, again, look at the huge picture of I need to have these hour-long, super long workouts. I need to be going to the gym and this, that, and the other. And then they lose that confidence when they can't do that. But if you literally move your body for 10 to 15 minutes, that is more than. Do you ever question if you don't have time to work out, or if you don't have time? I want you to go. If you have an iPhone, especially, I know does it, but I think Android and whatnot does it as well. It shows you your screen time and how long you've been on your phone. And so I always tell people to go look at that. And if it's above 20 minutes for screen time for the day, then you have time to work out.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, it's all about what the choices you make and the priority you make. Stop putting yourself on the back burner, because if you, it's just like on a plane, you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you can take care of anybody else. So tangible things you can do. The biggest one is setting out your work that you're going to wear for the day. Having just that out and that reminder of like, oh, I'm going to work out, I need to put this on, is helpful. Setting apart that 15 minutes in your day, whatever that looks like. So whether your husband's gone or not, just 10, 15 minutes. If it's longer, awesome. If not, don't beat yourself up about it. Going for walks. It can be walking your stairs in your house. It can be body weighted exercises, whatever it may be. There's always going to be something in life that happens. It really comes back to that you have to be consistent and dedicated to your journey and not let anything come in your way. Like I was down and out last week. I felt super sick, but I still tried to have movement, whether it just be getting up and moving around my house and doing stuff with my kids, walking around. I did yard work and stuff like that. Just finding those little things to keep you going and keep that movement going helps build up to those bigger things again. So often it just comes back to, oh, I can't go to the gym and spend 60 minutes plus there with the kids. So then like suddenly I don't have a fitness journey anymore. It's all over. But you can do just stuff at home. There's YouTube videos, you know, just go for a walk. You can always contact me because I have an app and I can train you anywhere with anything, as Ashley knows.
I think that's like really important to like state, because like I feel like a lot of people have the mindset of like you can only have a fitness journey if you're able to go to the gym, if you're able to lift weights, if you're able to run on a treadmill. And that was something I definitely had to break my mindset of, is like, no, like just because you can't make it to the gym today doesn't mean you can't do something. And I love how you said stairs, because that's what I do at this house, because we have 3 stories in this house, which we've never really had stairs at other houses. And so I will, you know, like even if I have to just use the restroom and I'm down in the basement, I'll go to the top floor just so I can like walk 2 flights of stairs and then walk back down 2 flights of stairs. Like I make little changes and choices like that just to make sure that I'm moving my body, as well as, you know, 2 flights of stairs is nothing. But if I do that multiple times a day, it's something.
These little things are especially important when you're PCSing, because you're in a new place without any of your stuff. Like half the time I don't even bring all my gym clothes because I don't want to bring a ton of everything that I bring. So it's like
finding where those little things are, whether that is stairs in your hotel. You could go to the stairs in your hotel multiple times. You can go explore your new town. I mean, there's some really cool places in most places that we move to. You may have to drive to a trail, but there's trails. And just finding ways inside of your rooms if you have to in your hotel room. I know that that's the hard part, is that not every hotel, especially when we moved here to Europe, they don't have gyms. Not a lot of the hotels don't have the kind of gyms that you would expect in an American hotel. So you have to figure out how to make that work. And you don't have your dumbbells, you don't have that stuff. You're right. 15 minutes is fine. If that's what you can do and put on a YouTube video, that's what I tend to go to when I'm like traveling. It makes a difference. It's something that at least it keeps your body knowing that you're going to work out. Like there's that consistency like you're talking about.
And I have so many clients right now. It's PCS season. I have a client moving back from Germany. That's where I met her, and she's moving stateside. And she's like, can you just set me a program that's just body weighted? Because obviously she's not going to have her stuff for weeks. And I was like, yeah, girl, we got this. Like, you can do stuff body weighted. I think, again, because the culture now is so, I mean, yes, weightlifting is it's a whole nother conversation that I could go into. I am a strength and conditioning trainer, so I am very weightlifting intensive. But going back to calisthenics and taking your body through that truly helps your weightlifting and helps your journey so much, because that takes it back to the foundations. And so look at it in a positive light, that you're allowing your body to take it back to those foundations, back to those basics, giving yourself that strength all over again. And then you get to add in the weights and whatnot when life maybe eases up a little bit and you can fit it.
Yeah. And I think like what's also great about that, like we're talking about just getting out and moving, and especially if you're in that PCS time frame, or if you're traveling, the last like 2 years, I've made it a point, like if we traveled or anything like that, like I made a point to plan like one activity, at least minimum, of where we're doing something where we're actually like being active, whether it's a hike, walking the miles and miles around DC like we did last spring break, and going like if we visit my parents or anything like that, we make sure that we go on at least one hike or something like that. And so it's a great way to also get out and explore your new duty station, go out and find places to explore, get out and walk. You know, if you're going to, like, for instance, like Fort Liberty, go check out the zoo. That's one of the largest zoos in terms of like space, and you can walk, I don't know, it's like close to 10 miles total if you walk the entire thing. And so there's ways to be able to be active with your kids or with solo or anything like that. And also just a fun way to explore where you're going. I think that's always kind of like a way to keep active, especially when you don't have anything and you're not wanting to sit down and do yoga or something on a carpet, and stay consistent. Because I feel like that is the key to like a health journey, is being consistent.
Yeah, it's just exactly just doing that one thing every day.
Okay, so we talked about being consistent. We talked about, you know, taking day by day. We talked about, you know, obviously we're military families, we're military spouses. Life loves to throw us curveballs. Like that is not a secret to any of us. So if you have a military spouse who comes to you, what is like one of the first things that you talk to them about? Obviously you do your consultation with them. How do you like figure out what their goals are, or what their, not their motivation, but you know, like what's their drive? Like, is it to be better? I know for me right now, my goals are because I have like, I'm not happy with the way that I look. I can't keep using that I have baby weight, because mine are no longer babies. So I don't have that excuse anymore. And so what are ways for you? I guess like the question is how do you determine like what that is? Like if someone like, I don't know, I just want to work out, like how do you help them find that determination? If that makes sense.
Yeah. So consultation wise, we kind of go through the basics of, like you said, the goals, your in the past. I do all the health background and all that stuff. But the biggest thing I ask them is, well, two things. If they are a military spouse, then I ask them if their spouse is on board with them. Are they into fitness as well? Are they like along for this journey with them? Because so often it is hard to get yourself going when you are like all gung-ho, motivated to eat clean, work out, you're ready to get going, and then you come home and your husband's not down for it and he's eating whatever, and there's snacks and ice cream and all this stuff in the house, house all the time.
Yep.
So I asked that because
I think that's so important. And I remember you asking me that on our very first time. And I remember going like, yeah, like Jeremy's on board, but like also Jeremy can eat whatever the heck he wants and doesn't gain anything or anything like that. So like he likes having all that stuff in the house and stuff like that. It was funny because he went to this course in January and he's just like, okay, I want, because I've always been trying to like pull in like lower carb options, things like that. And he never was really on board. But then he went on this thing and now he's like, I don't want like, you know, like I want to minimize the bread intake and things like that. And so I'm like, now, like, it's been 2 years I've been trying to get you to do this with me. So that way, like, I wasn't making 3 meals and all that kind of stuff. And so now he's a little bit more like on board with like all of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, this made it so much easier. Like, and it truly does. Like, if you have a partner,
oh yeah, having your partner,
it makes it so much easier, especially when it comes to food, especially now with the cost of food right now. Like, it just helps having them on board. So I love that you asked.
Yeah. That's like one of the big things I ask. And then, you know, what's your motivation? Is it to physically look better? Is it to like internally feel better? What is it? Often I find in the younger generations, and I'm talking like teenagers and whatnot, it's obviously to look better, to look like that Instagram model, whatever. And then in the older as in us,
Yeah.
it is all about feeling better, being able to keep up with your kids, being able to do that type of stuff. And so it is funny because over time, and I've trained thousands of hours, hundreds of clients, I've been blessed to be able to do that. I have really found the people that are doing it just to, in general, feel better and like health wise, they're not as much focused on the outward appearance and the physical. They go farther in their journey because that's something that's lifelong lasting, because as we all age, the rest of it goes away too. And so obviously physically looking better is great and all of that. But if you're focused on your internal journey, like your mental health, your actual organ health and everything else, that takes your journey so much longer. And so I find that those clients are the ones that are in some ways a little bit more serious about their journeys. And so that's something I ask. I guess another thing that I ask, how much time are you willing to dedicate to this? And again, it goes back to if they say, you know, in the next like month or two, I want to be down 30 pounds or whatever, and they don't tell me a long-term goal, then I can really tell that they want a fast fix and then they're just going to go back to whatever. So I try to find that intrinsic motivation and not that extrinsic, like the outward appearance of losing weight and everything else. Like if you have an intrinsic motivation, then your journey is likely to go farther. And then if they don't have it yet, then I try to give that to them.
Yeah. And I feel like once they have that, it will all start to like domino effect and like, you know, you'll get that appearance look eventually and things like that. So I feel like that's really important. That was one of my reasonings that I came to you, was because I was starting to have some health issues. And I was just like, I have to take care of myself. I have to make these choices to, you know, be better and be able to do all these things with my kids down the road. So I think that having all of these, you know, tips and tricks are great, but, you know, coming down to it, every individual is different and every individual has to find out why they want to go on a journey. And even if you're not like, I don't want to do fitness, like I don't want to work out, but I do want to make better healthy habits, like, you know, include those like drinking more water, even just sitting outside, like, you know, for a few hours a day can make your mental health so much better. Like find things that are, whether it's mental health, physical health, gut health, whatever it is, find what you want to work on and then implement that as often as you can. And I think a lot of spouses, and I think we talked about this a teeny tiny bit, was they go big and when they don't see results, or if they fall off the wagon for a couple of days, then it's kind of a rotation, like a cycle, like it's constantly getting back on, back off, back on, back off. If you find the one thing, stick to one thing for how long would you suggest, like someone, if they are starting fresh, new, brand new wanting to do some type of implementing something, whether mental, physical, how long do you suggest that they implement that into their like daily life before they start putting something else in to kind of help them stay consistent? Is there kind of like I'm sure there's not really like a rule of thumb, but like what would you suggest?
So if it's something small, such as drinking water, you know, like a certain amount of ounces of water, if you're able to hit that consistently for 2 weeks, then you can add something else. But a big life change, like I'm going to work out 3 times a week, hard and fast, I think that's at least 30 days that you stick with that. And so at least 30 days, and then you can start adding other things.
So yeah, so implement those small things. Small things take about 2 weeks to get into your daily cycle rotation for those bigger things. Try to do it for 30 days and then
Routine.
Start adding them in as you can. And I think that's just important, like small goals. Like I said, my goal is to at least go out on one hike a week here in Virginia, because I mean, we're near the mountains, we're near all these gorgeous like hiking trails. And so that was one of my yearly goals this year, was to hike as often as can. There's during the winter months definitely didn't happen as often, but you know, the weeks that it has happened, I'm just like, this feels great that I actually accomplished this. Like this week I got to do 2. Hopefully I'll get to do another one by the end of the week because it's just so pretty. But having those small victories will help you reach your goals. Is there any last bit of advice or something that you want to touch on before we kind of wrap up today's episode?
No, I think we kind of hit it all.
Yeah, I think it's great. So we typically end our podcast with asking military spouses a piece of advice that you would give to a military spouse. It does not have to be anything workout related, but if you had to give a piece of advice to a new military spouse or a seasoned spouse, what would it be?
I think going back to what I said before, just accepting storms are going to come and adjust your sails to what comes, and don't be off when it does come, because at the end of the day, you're just going to constantly be adjusting your sails. And so just find the beauty in it.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. And what I love about when we ask this question, it's so like on trend. Everyone says the kind of the same line, like you just have to live in the moment, be a part of it, adjust when you can. And I think it's great. So we're so excited to have you on the podcast, Grace. We will be sharing all of information for Grace within the show notes as well on the page. So thanks for coming on, Grace. We appreciate you coming on. And like we like to say, Ruck Up Buttercup.